and welcome to episode 45 of a Disney Life podcast. This is a place where Disney friends, old and new, can come together to talk about our Disney travel experiences, which is exactly what we are going to do today. My name is Rachel, and I'm joined by my co host, Missy. Good morning. Good afternoon, Missy. I guess it's actually afternoon when we're recording. So, good afternoon.
Hello, Rachel. Happy to chat with you. And this is honestly my favorite type of podcast recording. I love our trip report recordings. They're my favorite kind because we get a chance to have a guest on here to talk our way through it. And it brings in one more opinion onto all of our conversations. And we like, having the more the merrier is always my policy with traveling and with chatting here. So happy to be here today.
Today, as Missy said, these kind of trip reports. So we do have a trip report today. We are joined by our friend Jen. She has joined us here before. Hello, Jen.
Hello, glad to be back. Thank you.
We're glad to have you back. So Jen recently cruised on the Disney Fantasy, but she did not have any normal stateroom. Jen stayed in the Tower Suite. So we thought it would be a nice treat to have her on here and to tell us about that experience. Jen will also be bringing her top 5 activities on Disney Cruise Line when cruising with adults. We will have a question about passports later on in the show, and then Missy will close us out with our tip of the week. So if you're a new listener to us today, or if you're a longtime listener, welcome. We're glad that you're here, and we can't wait to take you along with us as we go through Jen's cruise on board the Disney Fantasy. The Disney Fantasy is the 4th Disney Cruise Line ship and the 2nd ship in the Dream class. She made her maiden voyage in March of 2012, but in the fall of 2025, the Fantasy went into what is called dry dock. This is where updates, changes, renovations, some extra cleanup is done to cruise ships. This does happen occasionally with these ships to keep them new and fresh. So included in this dry dock was the addition of Stateroom 13,000, which is the Fantasy Tower Suite. This is a concierge level 2,030 square foot suite that takes its design inspiration from the film Fantasia and more specifically from The Sorcerer's Apprentice. These suites are found on all 3 of the Wish class ships, and they are also on the Dream and the Fantasy. The Magic and the Wonder do not have these suites located on them.
So as Rachel mentioned, the Fantasy did start sailing in March of 2012, and we happen to be recording this episode at the very end of March 2026, which is crazy to say. Sometimes when you just step back and think about what year it is, my brain has a hard time wrapping itself around reality anymore. But the reason I mention this is because the last week or so, I have been seeing photos show up in my photo memories from that time frame, from the preview cruise of the Disney Fantasy, and then the maiden voyage happened the very end of March in 2012. So it's crazy looking back at my memories from 14 years ago, seeing the ship when she was brand new and knowing what she's like today. She is still in such great shape, excellent condition. And I love that they're still doing these reimaginations with their fleet rather than just giving up on them like I feel like some cruise lines do. So this Tower Suite has been an incredible addition. I am so happy that Jen and some of our other friends were able to experience it together, and I am just thrilled that she's able to be here today to chat with us about it, because it truly is a once in a lifetime type opportunity for most people if they have the opportunity to be able to ever experience it. So thank you so much for being with us here today, Jen. So correct me if I'm wrong. I think the last time you were here with us, we talked about Royal Caribbean Star of the Seas, right? Was that what we did? No, it wasn't. It was
No,
something
it
else.
was not. We talked Disneyland.
Oh, yeah,
Disneyland. That's right, Disneyland. So, well, if that doesn't tell you, it proves my point I was going to make. Jen is well traveled. So Jen knows a lot about traveling. She loves traveling. She's a part of a few of the different groups that Rachel and I both travel with, and we've known her for quite some time now. So this experience for Jen is one that I'm sure she was looking forward to a lot also. And she knows cruising in and out. So I'm sure she'll have a lot of helpful information for us today. So for this cruise in particular, Jen, how many people were traveling in this room? And tell us a little bit about the type of group you were with for this.
Sure. So this was an adult-only group. It was a group of actually 6 friends that we were all traveling together. Unfortunately, we found out as we were driving to the port, this was sailing out of Port Canaveral, as you know, And so as we were making the drive, we found out that one of our friends was not going to be able to make it. So we went from 6 down to 5. I mean, that is really how we made the trip a little bit more affordable, is when you share the cost of a suite like this. I mean, it was only a 4-night sailing, but if you share the cost with a group of 6 friends, it becomes more affordable to split it amongst yourselves. And so, yeah, just a group of adults traveling, friends, which is really one of the best ways to cruise, I think.
I agree with that also. And I totally get what you're saying. Rachel and I have talked about that kind of thing here before, that sometimes when we travel with groups, we have opportunities that we just couldn't afford to do if we were with our entire family, or things that maybe our family doesn't see the value in that we would see. And it's not something they would want to spend that kind of money on. It just makes sense to travel with a group. Makes that bottom line that you're paying out of pocket a lot easier to swallow when you're not paying for that entire suite yourself. You mentioned you sailed out of Port Canaveral, Florida. So of course we know that was Disney Cruise Line's first home port there. The first terminal they built was in Port Canaveral. Tell us about your boarding process there, and I know you've cruised many times out of there as a guest in a regular stateroom. So, how was it different for you this time when traveling in the Tower Suite?
So that is really one of the big perks as well, is that typically when you are sailing with Disney Cruise Line, you have a check-in date that you get to check in on, and it depends on your Castaway Club level, and you want to get on as early as you possibly can so that you can get an earlier port arrival time, so you can get on the ship sooner. Obviously, that's everybody's goal, right? Is to get on the ship and start enjoying their vacation right away. And that's one of the big perks of concierge, is that it doesn't really matter when you check in for that, because you're going to be able to get the concierge, port arrival time regardless, based on that category that you're in. And so actually I was never able to print out my QR code or anything, because one of the guests hadn't finished their check-in, but one of our friends did have one. She had, I don't know, I think they were having some issues with their approval process. And so it wasn't showing up for me. She was able to get it. But the nice perk is that you just get to show up and you get to get into the concierge line. And as soon as they start letting people in the terminal, you're one of the first guests to be able to arrive.
And that goes with all of the concierge level rooms, not just the
Mhm.
big suites like Jen was in. You are not required to have a port arrival time. It's an open window. Anytime during boarding, you're able to arrive. And then they also have a special waiting area for you right in the terminal. Jen, why don't you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yes, so that was very nice. And just one thing to note is that when you get into the terminal, you need to use the restroom if you need to, because I mean it's a little long of a drive, and so if you need to use that, you should do that before you go to the special concierge lounge, because they don't have one there for you to use. So you use the restroom, and then we had someone who was ready to whisk us away to the lounge, which was basically empty when we got there. It did fill up a little, but they do have a refrigerator with water, soft drinks, things like that you can enjoy while you relax. They have a concierge host who will come and kind of talk to you and let you know what's in store for you and what's going to be happening once boarding starts.
And at this point, you're already well within the view of the ship. You are right next door, ready to get on. So I feel like that is just that's like the peak. I don't want to
Mhm.
call it anxiety, but you're just so anxious really to get on the ship. You could see her right there waiting. And when you're concierge guests like that, you're amongst the very first people to be able to board the ship. So is it correct that there's a host that took you on board then and to your suite for a tour around, or how did that process go? Because I think most people wouldn't even know where the door is to access these suites, because it's just off of the upper pool deck there, and an area that you would think you really couldn't access. So how did it work being able to get to the suite itself?
That's a great question. So we had decided, some of the people in our party had already sailed concierge many times and sailed in tower suites many times. So they were well versed in it, but I really wanted to do the concierge lunch. They have a lunch that's hosted just for concierge guests. It's at Royal Court on the Fantasy. And I wanted to do that because it was something I hadn't done before. And so we first went to the lunch, where we are
Okay.
served champagne. They will serve you unlimited champagne. It is the regular embarkation day lunch that you would get at the sit down restaurant on the first day of your cruise. But They do have a special dessert that's only for concierge lunch guests, and that
Oh,
is the warm molten pot. And it's kind of like a chocolate lava type cake. It's got chocolate sauce on it. It has cream. It's delicious. So we
good
were
way to
able,
start.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? You're starting your cruise off right. And then, so once we went back out, we had some bags and things like that that were outside of the restaurant, and we did have a host come, and she brought us to the stateroom.
Okay.
So tell us, since this is up inside the tower and it does require its own private staircase or private elevator to access, how exactly does that work?
Yes. So, and you may not have even noticed the elevators. On the Dream and the Fantasy, it is the same elevator bank, the midship elevator bank that normal guests take. So it's not truly a private elevator,
Uh-huh.
but the middle one has a little placard, and it's got a like a key card reader that you can put your key or your magic band on, and that's how you call the elevator to come to you. And then that one will come, and you can push 13 now. However, other guests can get on with you, but you do have to do your key to the world card or your magic band once inside the elevator too, in order to press that 13th floor and have it actually go up to the 13th
Get
floor.
to your levels. And if for anybody wondering about the safety of that, once you exit the elevator, you're not immediately inside the suite. There is still another door to go through to get into the suite. So if anybody's out there thinking they're just going to hang around that elevator bank and wait for somebody to hit 13 and go right into their suite, that is not an option here. Of course, it is very secure. It's a special option, but certainly very secure options.
Mhm.
Once you get up to what is technically the 13th floor, then you can scan in again using your Disney band if you have that linked with your account, or else with your key to the world card. And then what happens? You walk in and you collapse because you can't believe it's really happening. And then you wake up in the medical center, or like what's next, Jen? Because that
That's
would be me. I think
exactly.
I would not make it past the door. I would open the door and then I would collapse, possibly with half of myself hanging out the door. I don't know.
That was exactly what happened. Yes, we all
Okay,
collapsed
perfect.
on the marble floor, beautiful marble floor, nice and cool, woke you right up. But yeah, so you walk in, and it's just kind of this grand entryway. To your left, there's a stairway that goes upstairs, and there's also a bathroom to the left. It's just a powder room. But
Mhm.
so you have that extra space. And then to your right, there'll be a kitchen. It has a fridge, a full size fridge that's fully stocked. The freezer is stocked with Mickey bars. And the fridge part is stocked with bottled water, with sodas, fresh juice, anything you want. We got milk for tea. Anything you ask them for, they will certainly bring you for that. And I want to
And they
say, oh, yeah, go
replenish
ahead.
that at no additional cost, correct? So
Correct.
that's included with the cost of your cruise. You can have things refilled however you need in there.
Mhm. That is
Okay.
correct. And I will say that I was so spoiled because typically when I sail with Disney Cruise Line, I have to go up to the pool deck to refill like my water bottle or, get myself some water for night when I go to sleep. And I never had to do that. It was amazing. I literally just went to a fridge and opened it, and there it was. It was right there. And actually, they do have in the cabinets in the kitchen, they do have some extra bottled water, sodas and things like that, so that if you did run out, you don't have to actually call someone. You could, put some in the fridge if
Replenish
you
it
needed.
yourself. Okay.
Yes.
Good to
If
know.
you didn't want to call someone and wait for them to come.
For our future tower party needs, that is good to know.
Good to know.
Yes.
And so then after the kitchen, there is a dining room table that seats 8, which is an amazing space to be able to kind of sit around and chat, work, you know, have a dinner, have a meal. It's a really inviting, nice space. There is
Y-
a living room area that has a sofa and some chairs, and also a TV that retracts or expands if you want to watch it. We never, watch TV, of course. We're in a wonderful suite. Why are we going to
Yeah.
waste our time watching TV? But you could if you really wanted to. Then there is a bar that seats 4, and that bar has a wine fridge that is fully stocked with wine, champagne. We had Cloudum as well, which is non-alcoholic, as I know you know. And that is also replenished daily.
And no additional cost for that as they replenish it as well, correct? That is an update.
That is correct. However, they do have a wine list of specialty wines that you could request if there was a charge for.
Okay.
Okay.
A little bit higher end things, that if that was something you wanted, you could purchase that.
Good to know. I think
Mhm.
that at one time there was a little bit of confusion. I know Rachel and I personally experienced a little bit of confusion once on one of our group cruises when we were invited by somebody, a guest in one of the royal suites. It was a royal suite on the Disney Dream. And we had previously had experience in a royal suite on the Wish. And on the Wish, they were restocking the fridge in that same way. But on the Dream, we found out after Rachel and my sister opened a bottle of wine that they actually were charging for them on the Dream. But I have heard, I have not experienced myself, but I have heard from a good source who has experienced it that they have updated this policy and now the royal suites and or at least the tower on the fantasy and the dream are now inclusive of the wine in the fridge as well. So
Yeah.
I want to back up to Jen. You had mentioned that there are seats for 8 at the table. You only had 6 reserved originally for this, but the suite itself does sleep up to 8 guests, correct? That's the maximum amount you could book in this room. So if you're a numbers person and you're crunching numbers right now, trying to figure out how many you can put into this room to divide the cost by as many possible and keep the numbers down, it is 8 guests for this room, right?
That is correct. And we didn't want to have to share beds as much because we were a group of 6 women traveling together.
Right.
And
Right.
this gave us a little bit more breathing room
Hmm.
than having actually 8 in there. One other thing that I will say about the wine fridge is that we may or may not have taken any wine bottles out each night and stored them away for later use and gotten new ones every day.
And had them replenished. Okay.
That may or may not happen on the Destiny as
Well, I'm
well.
guessing, I mean, they could be consumed is what I'm guessing might happen, but
Okay. Good to know. So you're saying you can confirm they were replenishing this because you made sure the fridge was empty as the room was being serviced. You did not want to run out. That's good to know.
that
All
is
right,
that is
continue with that
exactly what I
walkthrough there. Beyond the bar area, is that where they have the little library area in the
think.
suite?
Yes.
Okay.
So then they have the library room, which is a really kind of cozy area. They have a couch in there that does pull down into a bed, albeit, we did take a look at it. We did have someone sleeping in the library, and the bed seems smaller than the beds upstairs in the 2 king rooms. So, it's a little bit tighter fit if you're
Yeah,
gonna sleep
I
2
think that one's
people.
a queen in the
Mhm.
library is a queen, and
Okay.
then the 2 in the main bedrooms upstairs are queens.
Our kings.
Or kings, yes, I'm sorry, thank you for correcting that. Queen in the library that folds down like Murphy bed style from the couch kinda, right? It's not a regular pull-out couch, right? It's the fold down
No.
Murphy
Mhm.
style? Okay.
Yep.
Really, I kind of the times I've been in these suites to tour them, I've zipped right by the couch and didn't pay it much attention because it has a giant bathroom in there. Now, I
Mhm.
mean, it's a beautiful bathroom. It would be a beautiful bathroom in any home. Forget the fact that you're on a cruise ship, and this is like the extra bathroom. So, which is very big with the large shower, no tub in that one, right? Just the large shower in that
Mhm.
particular bathroom, plenty of space in there. And I believe that's also the one that is the handicapped accessible.
Mhm.
So all of these suites have that downstairs sleeping area. So if there's anyone in your family that has that accessible need, you don't need to be concerned with them and the steps. They have a bathroom right there and a bedroom right there on that main living floor. So that's a
And
great idea also. So beyond that then, so I think that covered the whole first level, which is crazy. We're talking technically about one stateroom. So we finished level 1 and now we're going to go up to level 2. Which is a beautiful staircase. I guess it's not technically a spiral staircase. I don't
It
know
kind of
how
is.
it's like because it curves like that, but it's
Mhm.
not like you're going around like time after time. But I would call it like a wrap around staircase. I don't know. I am not fancy enough to have a staircase like that in my home, so I don't know the name of it. But once you get upstairs, oh, and they do have, I've noticed before on them, child safety gates that you can put up. Like they're the kind of retracting ones that I think at the bottom and at the top to keep the kiddos safe. So if that's a concern of yours when you are considering this for your family, if you're traveling with young children, you can close those stairs off there also. So tell us about the upstairs.
Okay. So the first thing I will mention though is that you're correct. It is like kind of this almost spiral type staircase. And if you want to bring your luggage up there, you're going to be hauling your luggage up there. So I will say that I brought a full size suitcase because I wanted lots of options. You know, I'm staying in the tower suite. I need to look good, right? So I had a lot of options, but it was heavy and, you know, it was a lot of work. So that's just something to kind of consider too. I did consider actually, I had packing cubes and I thought about just like bringing them, you know, upstairs. But in the end, I did. I hauled my suitcase on up there, but just something to kind of consider if you're thinking of staying in there is maybe pack light. Don't pack
Or
like
else
me.
ask for help. I can't imagine that there wasn't somebody who would have been able to come and help, a crew member to come and help some of
That's
you
possible.
ladies get your luggage upstairs. Ask for help when you need it. Don't suffer and leave your clothing downstairs.
So anyway,
Because Jen, if you don't have enough clothes up there and you come running out of your room, guess what? Everybody across the way sees you, because what we didn't talk about yet are the giant windows that span the entire front of the suite. And on this ship, they look out towards currents.
it's the pool
There's a
deck that
little
you're
pool
seeing.
there,
Yeah,
right? There's
yeah. There's like a little pool there.
a little splash pool there that was added, or no, it was on this ship originally. The little splash pool, yeah, is right there. Okay. But yeah, people will see you. People on the deck will see you.
Well,
But
if you,
there is a magical button, right?
yes, there is. There is.
So if you push the magical button, it will frost all of the windows and you will have that privacy.
That's true.
All right. So
Okay.
you lugged your suitcase up the steps, and then what do you find when you get up
Okay.
there?
So they're on either side. Once you get up onto the landing, on either side, there are two king bedrooms. And they're basically pretty identical. There's the blue room and there's the purple room. And slight tiny differences. You walk in, they both have a little sitting area to put on your makeup, blow dry your hair. They have, you know, the king size bed, and they do both have the TV, which can retract or it can expand, because there are windows in this room too that you can open up the curtains to, and you know you can see down into, I think you can see down into the loft area, or there's a window where you can see outside as well, and that window can be frosted as well if you would like some more privacy if you don't have your curtains drawn. They have giant walk-in closets, plenty of storage space, and then they have ginormous bathrooms, and the bathroom has a little kind of frosted door room area for the toilet. It has a bathtub. It's got a large walk-in shower, not quite as big as the walk-in shower in the library room because that one is, you know, accessible, but it does have a walk-in shower. Guess what else there is in this bathroom that you almost never see on a cruise ship? And you know what? I don't know why they'd want to put it on, you know, their best suite anyway, because who wants to see what they weigh on their cruise? But there's a
Oh,
scale.
not a
Maybe
scale.
that's for your luggage, so you can
That
see how heavy your luggage
that
has become.
I think you've solved it, Jen. That's what it's for, because clearly
Somebody
no human wants to get on there in the middle of their cruise after attending to the wine fridge for days
I
to
did not.
see
I
what
did not
they
get on that.
weigh.
Yeah,
No, but
no.
yes, luggage, that must be what it's for.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
ugh.
So,
I did not know what you were getting at there. I was like,
Yeah.
what do they have? Is it a bidet? What are we
A
talking
golden
about right
toilet? What is
now?
this?
Right, and
um,
and the tub too is gorgeous. It's a large
oh,
soaking tub, absolutely beautiful, like a freestanding soaking tub. Beautiful,
mhm,
beautiful tub. So, in
yeah.
both of those suites upstairs, they're pretty much mirrored, right?
Mhm,
So,
yeah.
you know, you have the same thing on both sides, so that you have the two large bathtubs, and then there's still one more room.
Yes. So I'm getting there as well. Oh, and one thing I mentioned with the tub, they had this bar of soap that had a Mickey head, like it was like inside the bar of soap. It was really
Oh, wow.
amazing, really cute.
Pretty little touch, super cute.
For sure. Then, so there's a little hallway that leads to the children's room, the kids' room, the whatever you want to call it, the bunk bedroom. And that room is amazing. So it's a little bit smaller. You walk in and there's kind of a desk and some drawers that for storage. And then there are two built-in bunk beds that are literally like the cutest things you have ever seen. And I mean, they do fit a real person, you know, like, well, not, I'm sorry,
A
not a real
real
person.
person,
You know what I meant. They fit a grown up is
an
what I meant.
adult-sized person.
Adult
Yes, they're
sized
not
person.
tiny.
They're not teeny tiny for
They're not toddler sized beds.
that's what
They're
I was trying to get at.
adult
They're
beds
not like
also.
sized for a very young child, but they fit an adult. And so they have the two bunk beds, and then on the ceiling is the best part. There's like lights in the ceiling that show constellations, and it's
Oh,
just
nice.
And then do they have a bathroom also, or do they need to use one of the other bathrooms?
so there is a bathroom in there as well. There is no bathtub in there. It's a little bit smaller of a bathroom, but there is a shower and everything you need in there.
Still larger than a regular cruise ship bathroom typically would have, by far. Yeah,
Oh,
by
for sure.
far.
But one thing I will mention is that it doesn't have a blow dryer.
Okay.
Something to note.
Interesting.
So the
I
blow
don't think so.
the blow dryers are those throughout all the bathrooms, all the built-in ones, or are they movable?
Yeah, so because Disney Cruise Line, typically in the drawer of your stateroom,
Mhm.
you'll find a blow dryer. And so in the two king bedrooms, there was a blow dryer. And I want to say there was one in the library. I guess I would have to ask the guest who was staying in the library if she had a blow dryer because I didn't even think to ask. But I do know that the person who was staying in the bunk room did ask for our blow dryer one day. And I don't
Okay.
know if that was because she didn't have one in there or maybe it stopped working. I'm not sure. But
Okay.
yeah, something to just think about. And I wonder,
The
I'm sure
important
you could
Especially
stuff.
if you're traveling with a group of ladies. It's
yeah,
definitely something to
Yes.
think about. Yes.
think you could request one,
Okay.
and surely they must have extras somewhere that, if you needed one, I would
Will be
think.
compliant, yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and work.
Okay, so we've toured the room now. I guess let's continue on our cruise with you, and you can tell us what all you did and what your experience was like being in that room and enjoying it for those 4 nights, did you say?
4 nights.
Okay,
Mhm. Yes.
let's get right into it then.
Perfect. So, of course, once we checked out the room and, saw how amazing that was, we kind of pinched ourselves a little to think that we were going to be staying there for 4 nights. Then, of course, the next logical place to go is the concierge lounge,
Uh-huh.
which if you sail concierge, they offer little bites for breakfast, lunch, tea time, dinner, desserts. Plus, they have the complimentary cocktail hours from 5 to 10 p.m., which is a really nice perk to be able to go in there. And of course, they have a menu that has different drinks that you can order from and different mocktails as well. It's not just cocktails, they have mocktails as well. And but they do have a full bar. They can make you basically anything that you ask for. And I would think most things they could make without alcohol as well if you asked for that. So of course we wanted to go and check that out. And also there is a concierge sun deck that has a hot tub and lounge chairs and things like that. It's a little bit more private area on the ship that you can hang out in as well. So of course we wanted to check that out before we had our safety drill and
Uh-huh.
all of that good stuff. And then for our first dinner, we decided that we were going to order into the room because when you have a larger suite that has a dining room table in it, that is one of the perks is you can order from the main dining room into your stateroom.
So
So we
that
just
so when you do that, it's more of a menu than just your regular room service menu. You're actually ordering from the main dining room menu for that night, correct?
correct. And we were
Excellent.
told that we could order from any of the main dining rooms. We didn't have
Mhm.
to look at our rotation that we specifically had. We could choose whatever main dining room we wanted to order from and do that, which we did do. I will say, I mean, it is a production. If you call, we were in the early seating dining, and if you call in, you have to call in by a certain amount of time to order. And then they'll say they'll bring it to you around 6:30 or 7ish is kind of the earliest that they could get the meal to you. And then so they bring it on this cart and it's all covered up so it's staying warm and everything, but it's really they really have a lot of work that they have to do to get this ready for you because they don't just throw it on the table for you, they actually make up the table. They get out
Oh,
the
wow.
the linen and they make it and they put out the silverware and they set the table just like they would if you were down in one of the main dining rooms. And then they
Uh-huh.
have to, get all the plates out and arrange them. And so while it is a wonderful, nice treat to be able to sit around that big table and have a conversation, it was really amazing. But you are sacrificing time a little bit in the sense that, your food may not be quite as warm as it might be if you were eating in the main dining room.
I do have a
Sure.
question. So they told you could order from any of the rotational dining rooms. Did you all have to order from the same one or could you? Okay. And that makes sense because that would be so much easier than, I want something from this restaurant and somebody else wants something from another one. So, okay. Just wanted to check on that. But it makes complete sense that they would ask you to do that.
Yes.
Do you happen to know the servers who brought it up for you? Were they your concierge hosts who brought that? I mean, obviously the dining room team is not able to come up during dining to bring it to you. So who is it that has that task of having to set all that up for you?
Yes, it's one of the different people that you would see down in the concierge lounge, one of the different concierge hosts, and it might not be the same person every time that comes up. Sometimes
Uh-huh.
if it's like this first dinner, they had two people coming up to help set it up, and sometimes it's just one depending upon what it is, but
Okay.
mhm, yeah.
All right. So you enjoyed dinner there right in the
Mhm.
suite. And what did you do for the rest of the night? Just stare at your suite?
Just say, "Oh my gosh, I
Did you
can't."
just like roll around on the couch and take it all in? Or what did you do?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty amazing just, being in there, and I think that first night definitely we were just trying to soak it all in and just kind of, I mean, because here's the thing, if you're going to spend, which typically when you're splitting it with six people, it's not like it's that much more than you would spend on a veranda room, say a family veranda.
For
But
your whole family.
for
Yeah.
your whole family. Well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying? It's not like it's that outside the realm of what you might typically spend. But if you are doing that, you want to enjoy it, right? You want
Mhm.
to be able to spend time in there and to truly soak it all in because
I
I
don't
mean,
think I'd leave. I mean, I think I would get off the ship thinking, wow, I didn't go anywhere else on the ship but my suite, but that's okay because it's what I paid for.
Yeah.
and because obviously I'm not going to do this every time I cruise with Disney Cruise Line. I mean, I would love to. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? But it's just not reality. So it's a special time and you certainly want to enjoy it. So we did take our time that first night to really, just kind of have chats, sitting in the living room. And, of course, we kept our blinds open so that, anybody walking by could just see us in there
Everybody
chatting.
could see you.
Everybody could be jealous. They could figure the cruise ship. There's a tower suite, ladies.
So, kind of a funny thing happened is if besides the elevator, the other way that you can get to the tower suite is off of deck 12. There's doors that lead inside, and there's a stairwell that you can actually open the door. It's not locked. You can get in there. And one day I was running down that first day to meet up with someone else, and all of a sudden this boy came down and it kind of surprised me. And I thought, well, hello there. And he said, oh, hi, I was just checking out an area that I used to go on this ship. It was kind of my special private area. And it was just kind of a strange little meeting.
I think probably what he was looking for, there were a couple things that used to be housed inside this funnel in the Disney Fantasy prior to this tower suite being built. One of them was on deck 13, which was Edge, and that's the teen club space, which is now relocated into the area where Vibe, the teen space is. They took over some space in there. And I think maybe what the boy may have been talking about is private space that he used to hang out in is probably upstairs where there was like a radio studio and Outlook, which was an event space that you could rent for private events. And that's technically deck 14, which would be the upstairs of the suite. So I think he probably was remembering that from previous sailings and was probably pretty surprised that he ran into a suite instead. So again, good thing that's secured. So that situation will only happen on the Dream and Fantasy. The Wish class ships were built with the tower in mind. Of course, the tower suite on the Disney Wish was the first one in the Disney Cruise Line fleet, and then the Fantasy and Dream were retrofitted to get those to fit in there. So it's a bit of a different different process, like Jen mentioned earlier today, to get into those suites. Yeah, dream and fantasy. It's a pretty unique situation there. I wonder how often you get kiddos who know their way around, but don't really know their way around anymore.
I think it's very often. This was the
Yeah.
one time it happened. And every once in a while, you'll get someone on the elevator when you call it up that's like, what? Where, where am I? But for the most part, it's very private and no one can get into your stateroom without your key
Mhm.
to the world card. So
Right.
you don't have to worry about somebody just wandering in there.
Right.
But the
Absolutely.
stairway is not private. Somebody could technically go up there and which is fine, obviously.
Right.
But that was one thing I was going to mention is that so this stateroom does not have any veranda. There's no outside space to the stateroom, and I really thought that maybe I would miss that having that extra space, but I actually did not miss that at all. And I know some of the royal suites might have their own hot tub, and obviously this one does
Yes,
not.
they do. Yes, they do, Jen.
I know you are very well aware of this. And so I thought, well, would I miss that? But to be fair, so every morning we would just take those stairs down to deck 12, super easy, and literally just right across the deck, there is the concierge lounge. And we would go up to the sun deck, and they had a hot tub there, which basically felt very much like our own private hot tub because there was
Mhm.
never anyone in it at all. So every morning we would spend in the hot tub just kind of chatting about the day and what were we going to do. And it was just a really nice way to start the day. So I did not miss not having a veranda, and I did not miss not having a hot tub because it felt like we still did.
Did
And you
you notice
certainly do
any
have
noise?
incredible. Sorry, Rachel. I was just going to say you have an incredible view from those giant windows that are spanning the two stories. You can see out there very clearly, better than probably most verandas can, in all directions around the forward area of the ship there.
So, Jen, how was the noise level? Because you do have those big two-story windows. You're overlooking an area that probably has quite a bit of foot traffic throughout the day and even at night too. So, how would you say the noise was?
That's a great question. I did not hear any noise at all in the stateroom. I will say that the guest who stayed in the library did say that her room was kind of noisy and she wasn't sure what it was, but she just heard little things like either
Okay.
rattling or how sometimes ships have kind of a little
Mhm.
sound as they're sailing along. It could be hangars, it could be whatever, but she did hear some noises in the middle of the night while she was sleeping.
But
Okay.
not other
Interesting.
guests or parties of
No.
music or anything
Yeah.
like
Okay.
that. It was just natural ship noises.
Yes,
Okay.
just
Yeah.
like movement and things like that.
Natural
Okay.
ships.
Yeah, for sure. Mhm, yes.
Ships make so many natural noises all the
They
time.
do.
Well, I mean, I refer to ships as she, as if they're
Yeah.
a living being. So I think that's normal to say, and I don't know why you're laughing at it. Don't edit that out because I'm sure there are some listeners who agree with me.
Yeah, it's ghosts of the funnel. That's what we'll say.
All right, so I think we're just to the end of the first night, right, Jen? You hung out in the room there and enjoyed the suite, and then did you go out anywhere that first night or no?
Nope, not that first night.
Okay, good. Well
And
done.
then yep. Our next night starts, of course, in the hot tub at the concierge sun deck, which is the best way to start your mornings for sure if you're in the
Uh-huh.
tower suite. And then we also had brunch at Palo that morning,
Wow.
which was, of course, a favorite. We had a great table. We had some great discussion. We even did a water taste test to try and see if just the regular water was better or if you should pay for your water.
And what
Figured
was
out that.
determined based on that? Was it worth it to pay extra for water?
So we did 3 waters. Poor Sonia from Portugal probably thought we were insane doing this water taste test. But so we had the regular still water that they would give you, they serve you at Palo. And then we had kind of a mid-level water and then a more expensive one. And it was the mid-level water that was determined tastes the
That's the
best.
winner. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, you heard it here, folks.
There you go.
If you want some good water, pay for it.
Or there's the wine that's available in the fridge also. But
Yeah.
anyway,
And there's that. Maybe we could turn the water into wine. I don't
Yeah.
know.
do you have a favorite Palo brunch item that you order?
I sure do. For me, it's the lasagna. I
Okay.
dream about that lasagna for sure.
Why don't you do
Okay.
that? Man, maybe I'm gonna have to try it next time. I've only ever had a bite of it. I'm a chicken parm girl,
Mm,
actually, is usually what I get. I mean, the grape and gorgonzola pizza is my favorite there, but
yeah.
if I had to pick an entree, it would be the chicken parm. But I don't know. I've heard a lot of good things about the lasagna lately, so we'll see. Time will tell, and my mood of the day next time I'm there, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So then you were stuffed from Hello Brunch. What'd you do? Go lay in the suite?
Well, no, we kind of wandered a little bit. We took advantage of, so we were sailing with a Pearl, a Castaway Club member. So because of that, we had the unlimited photo package for complimentary. So we, did some character meets, we did some photos, just kind of wandering around a little bit. And of course, we had to stop by for tea time. We had some tea drinkers with us, and I personally am not really a tea drinker, and I'm not a scone person either. They also have scones, which people rave about. But what they do have, which are are the egg salad sandwich, little finger sandwiches.
Totally thought you were going to say espresso martini, but okay.
Okay, that's at 5 p.m., Missy. That
Okay.
is
I
not at
was like,
2:30
wow,
in the
already in the
afternoon.
afternoon. I'm like, they have the espresso martinis at tea time now. Wow. They
No,
probably
they
would if
don't.
you asked, but
No,
yeah.
well, I mean, maybe. I don't know. But I could probably live on those sandwiches for lunch that, they make a really tasty treat. So, of course, we had to check that out. And then also, two of us decided that we were going to go down to the Royal Court was our dinner on our rotation for that night. And so we decided we were going to go down and get soup at actual dinner instead of having it brought up to the room. And I think we kind of regretted that decision just a little bit. We were at the early dining, which, as you know, is usually a little bit busier than the late dining is. And so it's just, a lot of people there, a lot of talking. And so it was kind of loud and a lot. We thought we could be up in the room right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think where you went wrong there also was soup. I mean, you went all the way down there, went to that effort for the soup. Was there
I
a
love
particular
soup.
soup you were after, or were you just not that hungry because you had the sandwiches at tea time in the lounge? Or why on earth would you go to the main dining room just for soup? Like, not French fries, not a Mickey bar, but soup.
I
What
love
kind of
soup.
soup was it? That's so interesting.
Well,
By
she did end
interesting,
up
I
getting
mean
an entree too.
strange. She got not sure. Okay, well then that. But then you ultimately decided it was better to eat in the suite than with the hundreds of people packed into the dining room. Is that what you're telling us?
That's
Yeah.
kind of
Okay.
where we were going, and so that was our last foray into the main dining room for that
Okay.
sailing.
Okay, wow. So your staff never saw you after that
And
point.
I felt bad for them, I did. Those poor people were probably thinking, "What did we do wrong?" But
Yeah. Or they were thinking, "We have a break, like, this is less tables
Yes.
now,
Let them
so
stay
this
up
is."
there.
Yeah,
well,
so glad.
they were concerned when we first got there. They were like, "Where are the other people? What's happening?"
Oh,
And
no.
nobody's upset, everybody's fine. We're just enjoying our sweets.
Yeah.
And
So
oh yeah, go
I
ahead,
was just
Missy.
going to say, after soup, then what happened next? Everybody else ate in the room, did they?
No, I think they just grabbed things from the pool deck.
I see.
They grabbed it's so nice now that they have the tacos and you can get the bowls there, which are wildly popular on the Dream and the Fantasy now that they've,
Mhm.
added those
It's nice
in
and close to the area of the suite too. You can grab it and take it right up there and eat in the suite if you wanted to.
for
So
sure. For sure.
excellent, convenient location there.
They actually took it and brought it to the concierge lounge is what they did.
Okay.
So that they could get the complimentary cocktails and mocktails,
Okay. That makes sense too. Perfect
Good
plan.
idea, yeah.
So many options.
right? So many options. And this night, I know you would have loved to join us, but this night was silent DJ night.
Okay. Mhm. Yes, it was.
And you
So you do realize you could have just put your own earbuds in right in the suite and danced all you wanted to, and it would have
With
been
the
way better
with
because you would
the
have been in your
frosted
suite.
glass off. Let
right,
those
we
people
could
Oh,
have.
see it.
no.
Let
No, I
those
want the
people see it.
frosted. So next time I'm coming along and I'm going to sit across from you guys over at Currents and watch through the window and I'm going to see you dancing with the frosted glass off. That's my plan. You've been warned. So all
Okay.
right, you went to silent DJ.
Yeah.
I know some people love it. I just don't. But okay. Then what?
Just kind of wandered around the ship. It's really nice to be out there when most of the people have gone to bed or, are doing other things. You can get great photos. You can just kind of enjoy and feel like feel almost like you're the only one on the ship, right? Because there's no one else really around. So,
It's so beautiful out on deck at night too,
mhm.
unless it's during the pirate party, in which case it's typically mass chaos. But when you're out there during a quiet time of evening, either when there are shows going on or when the second seating's at dinner, or even later than that, 10 o'clock or after, I would say, when everything is lit up, those red funnels are glowing, and it's just so pretty out there. I think my favorite photos I have of ships are all taken during the evening with it all lit up. It's just so pretty. My favorite time of day out on deck.
For sure. And even in the atrium too, because that carpet on the Fantasy, I love that peacock carpet that they have in there. It's
Mhm.
just, stunning.
So you toured around inside too, not just out
Hmm.
on deck,
Yep.
all over the
Inside
place.
and
You
outside.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Nice evening then. And then back
Hmm.
to the suite, I guess, for some slumber and
Back to the suite, right? And ready to start a new day. And so our next day, another benefit is that instead of just being able to get the continental breakfast that you can get if you're in, a typical Disney Cruise Line stateroom, you can order hot breakfast as well. And so they have a little menu for you and a card, and you do put it outside on your door. And it was funny because I thought, is anyone even going to come by our door to see if we have this menu out there? And they said we could put it out there until like 3 a.m. It was a ridiculous time that we
Oh,
could put it
wow.
out there. And I thought, nobody's going to come. Nobody's going to come and bring us our breakfast. But they did. They brought us a nice warm breakfast. You can order omelets, you can order eggs, whatever you want to order. And they'll bring that right to your room. And the nice
Nice.
thing about breakfast is they don't set up the table quite as much as they do for dinner. They don't take out the linens and put a tablecloth on or anything like that, but they do serve you your breakfast.
very nice. Good way to start the day.
Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure. And so after that, what did we do that day? I think we
You sat in your room probably. Were you in port? Did you ever go to a port?
Yeah.
I mean, we did. The ship did. The ship went to a
The
port.
ship did. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say the ship had to have gone to a port at some point.
Yeah. It went to, I think this was Pirate Night this night. And so I think that was Castaway Day. And isn't
Okay.
that
Mhm.
crazy? We didn't get up on Castaway.
That is crazy because
Mhm.
I know somebody you were with who typically rope drops Castaway. And so that is crazy.
I have also stayed on board for Castaway Day before, so I get it.
Huh?
Sometimes it happens depending on what you have going on the ship. I love an empty ship. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So you
For
stayed
sure.
on board. Was it a beautiful sunny day? Did you do anything outside?
No, we didn't do anything outside at all. We did take a look at kind of the adult areas. I know Missy's laughing at me over there because that probably wouldn't be what you would choose to do, but we did. We toured around the
Well,
different.
it also proves that you didn't really need the balcony because you had a full day that you could have been outside and you didn't even need to go out there. And I know that these suites got a lot of negative press from some people when they were first announced saying, who would want to do that when you don't even have a balcony? But you're just proving that you don't really need it because you had ample opportunity to go outside and spend some time on deck and you just didn't need to. Lots of other things to do on board besides sit out there. And when you're an individual who can't spend a lot of time in the sun for whatever reason, it's a good thing to know. Good
Mhm.
option because not everybody can spend the day in the sun or should spend the day in the sun.
For sure. And to be fair, we did start the day in the hot tub. So, we were outside at one point.
Okay.
Yes. So,
With
well, no, it's not really a roof. It's more like
okay.
they have a little shaded area, but some of it's
Mhm,
open.
mhm. It's open air. It's definitely open
It's
air.
open
Yes.
air,
Okay.
very open air. So open. But so anyway, we did check out the lounges, and I do like the way the Dream and the Fantasy are set up, where everything kind of comes from that hub. Where in the Fantasy it's La Piazza, and then they have the different lounges kind of surrounding that area. And so we did check it out when there's no one in them, obviously at that time in the afternoon. So that was a fun thing to do. Of course, we did tea time in the lounge. You can't miss that. And then
Mhm.
it was Pirate Night. So we did some pictures with the characters and fun things like that. And then our most exciting thing for this day is a couple of us decided to go to Brain Teasers Trivia. Trivia is another thing that I really love to do. And the Brain Teasers one is really fun because it's hard. It's really hard to kind of train your brain to think this way or whatever. It's kind of mind bending. And so when we walked in, we noticed that Don Ducky Williams was there. And if you don't know who he is an animator with the Walt Disney Company for like 37 years. And so he was there, and we ended up talking to him after trivia and deciding that we were going to meet up the next day at another trivia to have him come back and tour the Tower Suite. Since this was an opportunity, here we had this wonderful suite, and now we can
Yeah.
invite guests up there and have kind of a little fun party. And so that was kind of our excitement for that night, was that we got to meet him. And he is so kind, so gracious. He had said, I sat down next to him and he said, okay, what do you want me to draw for you? And I said, oh, no, no, no. You don't have to draw for me. Can I just take a picture with you? And he said, well, yeah, we'll do a picture later. But right now I'm going to draw for you. What do you want? And
Aw,
so,
that is
he
so
drew
sweet.
a picture for every single one of us. He
Oh,
signed it
wow.
for us. And he was just so kind and so generous.
That is
What a cute thing.
amazing.
Hmm.
You'll have to send us a picture and we'll post that because that really is special.
For sure.
So how did you at Brain Teasers trivia? Because I love trivia, but Brain Teasers are not my favorite.
I don't remember what we got. I know we didn't win.
Yeah.
That was for sure, but we did pretty good,
Okay.
between the three of us who have been before to some of these. We were able to figure out quite a few of them.
Okay.
Okay,
And
very
that was in the
good.
tube, which I think is such a cool area anyway. I love it in there. They did a great job with the details in that lounge.
Yeah, I love that entire Europa area of
Hmm.
the Disney fantasy. All of the different bars are so unique. And I think I've said it here before. I just prefer the layout of the dream and fantasy with all of those adult areas being in one nice little compact area of the ship rather than sporadically around. So the tube is a lot of fun, and I just like it a lot better than the venues on some of the other ships. So okay, what was next?
So I did mention that tonight was pirate night. And so one of the perks that I wanted to bring up about staying in the Tower Suite or staying concierge in general is that you get priority access to shows. And so if we didn't end up seeing any of the stage shows, had we wanted to, you can go to the lounge 45 minutes before the show begins, and then you kind of congregate there, gather, and then they escort you down to the seating, and you can get first dibs kind of on
Priority seating
seating.
there,
Okay.
right?
Mhm. Yep. And so that wasn't something we experienced, but it was also another thing for the fireworks, is that if you want to skip the show, because we weren't able to see the show, but you get a really, really great view of the fireworks from the concierge sun deck. So that was something that we did for fireworks, is that we went up there. It wasn't crowded. There wasn't a ton of people there. It's just, concierge guests who wanted to do that. And you get to stand up there and get a really great perspective on the fireworks.
Yeah, it really just kind of elevates the entire experience when you sail concierge, and those little things that don't sound like a big deal
Mhm.
just really make you feel like a VIP, and it
Yeah.
just elevates that experience there to a whole different level.
Did you
And I
dress
will
up, Jen? Was that one of your many outfits in your suitcase?
so I had this shirt. It was kind of a aqua and white striped shirt, which is kind of like a smee.
Yeah.
And one of my friends also had a aqua and white striped shirt, kind of like a smee. So we were twinning, and we matched me, and he made a big deal, of course, in our picture, like, oh my gosh, come stand by me.
I would imagine Captain Hook is usually the one that gets attention, so Mr.
Right. And
Smee
Captain Hook was
probably
kind
loved
of like,
that.
yeah, stay away from me. So that was,
It's fun to get into the whole dress up part of it sometimes. At
Mhm.
least, like people, like the kids, I guess even adults, many adults, Disney bound. I know my teenage kids are into that. I guess it's pirate bounding when you're not really dressing up as a pirate like I used to back in the day. When the kids were little, they would really want to do that kind of thing. But now it's more just a pirate theme for us. And it's fun just to be into the mood of it and be one of the pirates in the Caribbean. So lots of fun.
for sure. One other thing I was going to mention when you were talking about, really feeling like a VIP when you're sailing concierge. And I will say that, definitely I think they treat every concierge guest, like kind of like they're a little bit of a superstar, right?
Uh-huh.
But I will say that I felt like our level of service was even just like the tiniest touch higher. Like I felt like they rushed to us when they would come to the lounge and be like, oh, what can we do for you? And kind of, they really They
Get
knew
back in
we
your
were.
suite where you
Yeah.
belong. Why are you out here?
They didn't say
They've
it.
emerged.
They didn't say that. They'd be like, "Oh, well, they're here. We got to do something," and they would rush over and talk to us. And I mean, so they know who we were, obviously.
Okay.
And, they wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything they could do for us. So they
Mhm.
really did make us feel very taken care of and very special.
And that was night 3, correct? So just one more full day on board?
Mm-hmm. Yep. One
Okay.
more full day on board. And that day was Churro Waffle Day.
Nice.
And so we were able to get those delivered to the room with our breakfast as well. They brought us 2 plates of them so we could share in. I know that's kind of a big deal with guests. They love Churro Waffle Day. That was also our day that we were going to invite Don Williams up to our suite. So me and another guest, we went down to La Piazza and there was a trivia there. So we did the trivia. And afterwards we were meeting up with them. And again, he was just so kind and generous. He ended up drawing for other people. So people would come to him, and he would make drawings for them. So we waited around a little bit. But before that, we had had some people stay up in our room because we had asked for like a cracker and cheese platter. We asked for some fruit. We asked for some extra cloudum to be delivered. We wanted to have, all of the different options for them for when they came up to the room that they would be able to enjoy, and they took good care of us. They, brought us everything that we wanted, and we were able to have kind of a nice entertaining time with them. He told us his entire life story, which was just super inspiring. And, obviously it's not my story to tell, but I am sure, if you are interested, you can find it somewhere. I'm sure it's recorded. I know he's done a lot of talks and things like that.
Mhm.
It was just really a special day for us to be able to not only show off our room and say, look at this amazing suite, isn't it amazing? And also just to kind of sit and to hear kind of a Disney legend, right? And kind of hear their story.
That's
That's
really neat, and
amazing.
that is a great honor that he agreed to come and do that, and, how fun, like a VIP experience you set up for everybody.
Right. Well, and that's part of the fun of staying in this suite. And I probably would have invited everybody up to the room. Anyone who I talked to, I would have been like, you want to see this tower suite? Because you can come on up to my room and check it out. Because I mean, that's part of the fun is being able to stay somewhere, is being able to show it off to other people and say, isn't this amazing? You should try this or something. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So after your reception that you basically hosted for your new friends,
Mhm.
how did you wrap up your last night?
So we had decided a couple nights before, we were kind of taking a look at the Navigator app, and there was a mixology class at the Meridian. And so a couple of us decided that we would take this class. I had never done one of the tastings or one of the mixology
Oh,
classes
wow.
on board. Yeah, I had never done that before. So I thought that that was a really cool thing to try. And they were able to get us in. I don't know if it was because of the suite we were in or if, it was just available, but we were able to get in and do a little tasting, which was really very cool. And it
Did
was
you
in the
taste
Meridian,
anything
which
that
is
you Was there anything that you hadn't had before that you enjoyed or that you thought you wouldn't like, but you liked it more? Like any surprises?
for sure. So we ended up making 5 different cocktails, and I thought they were all really good. My favorite it was called the French Aviator martini, and it was just delicious. And it was made with gin, which I'm not a gin drinker. I think it kind of tastes like a tree, but this did not taste like a tree, which was a pleasant surprise. And I did really enjoy it. So
Okay, very good.
for sure. And then, so this was our last night. We ended up, you want to kind of go around the ship a little bit more. So it's your last night. You want to enjoy. And one of the things I don't think I mentioned yet, another one of the many perks of sailing concierge is popcorn. So typically, if you go to Preludes when they're open, you have to pay for the popcorn. You can get a bucket, obviously, and then get refills. But concierge guests can get popcorn anytime they want. They don't have to pay for it. So we got some popcorn. We brought it to La Piazza and Ooh La La, and just kind of chatted and enjoyed our last night before we had to go back to our room. for the end.
Carrying your snacks around the ship. That's
Carrying
so
my
cute.
snacks around the ship.
So then looking ahead to the next morning, what type of luggage service was available for you? Like, did you put your luggage out in your little secret stairwell the night before, or how did that work for you guys?
So that's a great question. We certainly were offered that we could do that, and we didn't have to get it out there by 10 p.m. Typically, they say you need to get your luggage out by 10 p.m. We did not have to do that. We had a later time frame. Only one of us decided to put their luggage out. I did not, because I was told that they're going to get an elevator for us to get us down there. And that's why you
Uh-huh.
put your luggage out, is because the elevators on that day when everybody's leaving are packed full and it's so hard. And who wants to lug their luggage down a bunch of stairs, right? But I thought, well, as long as we're guaranteed to be able to get elevator space, I'll just keep it with me. And I mean, I had to drag it down the stairs of the suite anyway.
Right?
But so it was
I'm just
really,
so surprised of that situation and that they don't kind of go out of their way to offer to move it for you because those stairs are going to get smashed up by people dragging suitcases on them. That's just crazy to me.
well, and to be honest, going down, I was slightly afraid I would fall because they're
Hmm.
marble, they're slippery. I took my shoes off. I just had my bare feet, just because I
Uh-huh.
was afraid, I don't want to stumble or anything. I am sure. I can't imagine that had we not called them and said, hey, can someone come and help us with our luggage down the stairs? I'm 100% certain somebody would have come and helped us.
Yes, absolutely.
But
Absolutely. I'm just surprised it's not something that they are encouraged to help you with, just to take that burden off of you and eliminate the risk of somebody falling with their luggage on those particular stairs.
I mean, maybe if I looked older, maybe if I looked elderly, they would
Maybe you
say,
look
we
too
can
fit,
help you.
Jen. That's the situation. It's like, oh no, she can handle her luggage.
I look so young. They probably are like, "Pfft, she could do it."
Yeah, that's funny.
Anyway, so we did, and then we did take an elevator to the 12th floor, to 12th deck, because we were going to go to the concierge lounge. They have some kind of breakfast offerings that you can get for that last day, and so we got a little food to kind of tide us over. And then after that, our concierge host did come and she escorted us. So she brought us to the elevators. She was able to call it, and it said priority on it, so it wasn't stopping for anyone else. It brought us directly down to deck 3. And we didn't have to stand in the line. She just brought us right over and said, hey, we have these guests, and they got us right off the ship. So,
And then the magic was over.
and
Yeah.
I mean, I was crying. I was like, no, let's not do it so fast. Maybe
Oh,
I should wait on
that's
the
so
line.
sweet.
And it is a line, so that is a major perk, to have, even though it's terribly sad because it goes by very quickly, but it is a major perk to have as you're watching everybody else stand in line and you just kinda get to be the next group that gets off the ship very
Hmm.
quickly and conveniently.
We got some looks. I'm pretty sure we had some people thinking, who do they think they are?
Yeah.
Skipping ahead. Meanwhile, you're crying. They probably thought something was terribly wrong.
Someone
She's
died.
rushing
I'm
home to an
sorry.
emergency. She's like, take me back to my tower suite. Well, Jen, thank you so much for joining us today to chat about that. It was a lot of fun hearing about it. I know it's an experience that most cruisers would only dream of. So I know that you know how lucky you are to have experienced it. It's not something that you take lightly, and it's something that I know you work towards and plan for. It's not unappreciated, and you being here is not unappreciated. All the double negatives I'm throwing in there right now. I don't know why. I'm twisting up my words, but I guess I'm just so excited by it. I'm even more excited that very soon we'll all be sailing together again, and our group does have a tower suite on the Disney Destiny. So that is certainly going to be another fun time that we will bring you some information about and compare the differences between the two ships. So I guess that does it for the trip report today, and we can move right on to our next segment.
For today's top 5, we asked Jen if she could come up with a top 5 list of 5 activities on Disney Cruise Line when cruising with adults. We did a top 5 list of cruising with children recently, so we thought this one would be fun. When you're cruising with adults, what are some of the top 5 things that you can do? So Jen, get us started out with your list.
Okay. Well, I will say I love cruising with adults on Disney Cruise Line. I feel like there's so many things to do, and if try, you can certainly stay away from families and things like that. And it can feel like a very grown up kind of experience, I feel like. So for my number 5, I actually had 2 things because it's very hard to kind of choose. And so I kind of said silent DJ and trivia because I think they're kind of similar things. They're fun activities that you can go out and do, and they're very fun.
I've never silent DJ'd, but I know, right? So I guess next month you'll
Next
have to
time.
get me out there with you. But I love trivia. Love, love, love trivia. And I will play as many trivia games as I can while on a cruise. So I would
And they
agree with
always have a great variety too. You know,
Mhm.
it's not like it's just Disney trivia. Some people think with Disney Cruise Line it's going to be all Disney centered, and they do certainly have plenty of Disney centered trivias, but they have other things also. So I feel like the Nice music trivia is also always the most popular one. Like, so I
Mhm.
guess that says a lot about their clientele and who's paying
Yeah.
for these trips. All right, moving on to number 4.
So number 4 is something that I don't necessarily always do. Certainly if I'm on a sailing with my husband, we're not doing this. But with friends, I think it's fun to do, and that was sitting in the hot tub. And we did it, of course, on the concierge sun deck, but they also have adult areas on all of their ships that you could just kind of relax and sit with your friends and chat about the day. And it's just a great way to unwind, I think.
Now you're speaking my language, Jen. I'm
Mhm.
ready.
That's what I thought.
Rachel could go to silent DJ with you. I will join you in the hot
Yeah.
tub anytime.
Absolutely.
All right, number 3.
And number 3 is another thing that I really love to do. And it's not technically just adults, but they do have some that are 18 and up, which is nice. And that is learn to draw. If you've
Oh.
never done a learn to draw, I am no artist. Like I am probably the worst drawer in history. But I do love to kind of learn the tips and the tricks and to try and make a character look kind of like the character is supposed to look like. So, and every time I improve just a little bit.
That's
Okay.
wonderful.
Rachel's laughing at me.
I've never had that experience. I did not do the learn to draw. Maybe I will. Maybe I will someday. I am not an artist either, so I feel like it would just be embarrassing.
No, we
Have
need
no.
to try one.
Okay, we'll
I would
see.
be willing to. I'm the same way. I thought at first you said learn to drop, and I was thinking, what is this? I
A
have never
dance
heard of
move.
this
That's a
before.
dance. The draw.
That's exactly what I was thinking. So that's why I'm laughing. But yeah, learn to draw. I can do that.
You may not get to take the host back to your suite
I know,
Yeah,
that's true.
for a tour.
right.
I mean,
And cheese and crackers, but come on.
Yes.
that's right. Cheese and crackers. All right, down to number 2 already.
Okay, number 2 is I love spending time in the different lounges, whether I'm on a Wish
Oh.
class ship or I'm on a Dream class or, even on the Magic or the Wonder. It's just, they're great places to hang out. I love to talk to bartenders. They are a wealth of information. If you get them talking about how long have you been with the company, what other ships have you
Mhm.
been on? It's just fun to kind of learn things from them. And with that, I will also lump in, I really did enjoy my mixology class. So doing a tasting or something like that and the ships is also a really great experience. Plus, if they also have mocktail classes if you're not a drinker. So
Which is fun also. I think
Mhm.
there are more and more people out there who are looking for fun drinks but don't want that alcohol component in it. So it's a lot of fun that they have that opportunity and experience on board their ships because it's something that you can take that knowledge home and have fun making some fancy drinks at home too, just for a little something extra to go with a meal someday or a relaxing evening at home. And that's what we're all about here is taking the fun home and chatting about Disney at home. So I love those experiences that could benefit you beyond just being at the destination. All right, I think we're on to the big old number 1. What do you have for us, Jen?
can you guess what it is?
I
Oh, it's
have an
not
idea.
Silent DJ.
It's not Silent DJ. It's Palo Brunch. It's
Well,
my
of
number
course, of
1.
course.
So, eating at one of the adult only establishments on board is one of the best things to do. I mean, they're delicious. The service is outstanding. And of course, brunch is my favorite because you can get so much food. The value is really
Mhm.
there for that brunch. And of course, if you're platinum or higher, then you can get that covered.
Yeah, which is a nice perk. So that is a
Hmm.
great benefit. And they do serve a lot of food. And I hope it never changes because we order a lot of food when we are
All
there.
of the food. Try
Yes.
all of the food they let you try, that's for sure,
Yes.
because, again, that's something you can't do at home, but you may taste new things there that you wouldn't necessarily order out at a restaurant at home because of the cost. But when you try it with the cruise line, you might find a new dish that you enjoy that maybe you can duplicate at home or have more confidence ordering at a local restaurant, knowing ahead of time that you enjoy it. So, all right, that was a good list. Jen, it kind of triggered a memory for me here, and I'll try not to get off on too long of a story. But two of the things in your top five are things that I did once on the first group cruise I ever did with a group of girls and not my family. And I learned a valuable lesson from it, which was do not book mixology and Remy champagne brunch back to back on the same day because it was a lot. And I'm not somebody who typically drinks that much. And we're going back over 10 years ago. And we did our mixed salt. No, I think I'm trying to remember which we did first, but I remember laying down on the couch in my room in between thinking, how am I going to go to the next event and not make a fool of myself? Because that Remy champagne brunch gives you champagne with each course. And I was
Oh,
at a
wow.
table with somebody who did not drink the champagne and we couldn't just waste it. And it was like a whole thing. So, yeah, lesson learned there. Space out your adult activities for your safety and the safety of those around you. Anyway, that's like a whole story for another day.
Well, thank you, Jen. We appreciate that. And we hope that our listeners are inspired by that list and find some other activities that they can participate with on board their next time that they've got some kid free moments or kid free sailing that they're going on. So, this week's question of the week is a very important question when it comes to cruising. And for this week, a listener asked, do I need a passport when going on a cruise? So, Missy, I will let you take that one.
Rachel, I feel like almost all of our questions are well, maybe questions. But in
Yes.
this case, even though it may not be 100% accurate, I'm going to say yes. You need a passport. You should take a passport. It is highly recommended. It is not necessarily always required by law. If you're traveling from the United States and you're a US resident, and you're on what they call a closed loop cruise, which means you're sailing from and returning to the same US port. Technically, you can get away with your birth certificate and a government issued photo ID rather than the passport. But when you're an adult and your passport is good for 10 years, it's really just a good idea to have one anyway. It'll also help out in the case that you have some type of emergency when you're away in port. If you need to fly home unexpectedly for some reason from a port of call, having that passport is just really going to expedite the process. So while it's not necessarily required for all sailings, it's definitely highly recommended by anyone I know who has cruised, who works in the travel industry, who works for a cruise line. It's just a good idea to have passports. We can now renew online. Many people are qualified to renew online as adults. So it really makes the process so much easier now than it used to be. So once you go through that initial application process, it's worth it to just maintain your passport and have it for cruising.
I completely agree. And I also want to state two things on that because I've got children with passports. Children's passports expire sooner than adults' passports. So if you have passports for your children, check those expiration dates because they do not last for 10 years. And if you are traveling with a passport, you have a lot less to carry than you would without a passport, which is always a bonus as well. And if it is a birth certificate, make sure it's your state birth certificate. The hospital birth certificates are not accepted.
And I believe the children's passports are good for 5 years. And since
Yes.
cruise lines many times do not allow guests to sail if your passport expires within 6 months of your cruise. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. We had a momentous occasion here in my family a month or so ago because both of my daughters needed to update their passports, and they are both now old enough that their new passports are the 10-year passports with the we have a 16-year-old, and once you're 16, your passport will be good for 10 years. So it was the last time I ever needed to go with them to sign for them for their passport. So that was kind of a big deal. May have had a tear or two because that's just how I am. But I love that they're going to continue to travel, and we just don't ever want those passports expiring because it just makes life easier to have it. So if you have a question for us, we would love to hear it, and we'll do our best to answer it for you. It may be a well, maybe type answer, but we'll go into as much detail as we can. There are several ways to send questions into us. We have a few email addresses if that's your preferred route. You can email a Disney Life at storybookdestinations.com or podcast at storybookdestinations.com. You can also contact us through one of our social media options. We are on Facebook. We have a group, a Disney Life. You could also find us on TikTok and Instagram at a Disney Life Pod. And there's also a YouTube page. So we're kind of all over the place. We're mixed all around. Love being everywhere. So, as always, love to hear from you. Appreciate you listening. And I do have a tip of the week to wrap things up today. What's my tip? I made a note here. It was something that Jen actually touched base on a little bit during her trip report. So, if you're sailing with Disney Cruise Line, you'll have a port arrival form that has a designated time to arrive at the port on it. This is something that during your online check in process, once you complete it, you can have emailed to yourself. And you can also see the option there to add it to the wallet in your phone, whether it be Apple or Google or whatever your type of phone is. My recommendation today, my tip of the week, is to take a screenshot of that so that you have it saved in your phone. I also make a printout of it when possible, just because I like that hard copy. I worry about some type of issue with my phone or my battery going dead. But I have had times at port that when I would go to open my wallet or something, there'd be an issue. And I've been glad that I had that photocopy saved as a screenshot in my phone. I put it under a special album that I have in my photos of travel things, so it's convenient to find. So that may be something that can maybe just save you a little bit of struggle there once you arrive at the port. So I think that's going to do it for today's episode. It's about time to go now. I think we've been yapping long enough, but we appreciate you all being with us here today. We hope that we brought a little bit of Disney magic to wherever you happen to be today. We appreciate you tuning in. We would love it if you would tell your friends about us and that get even more listeners for us, because we love hearing from you all and we love knowing that we have listeners out there to be able to share our Disney experiences with. So thank you again to Jen so much for being here today. And I am so excited to see you soon aboard the Disney Destiny. And we hope all of you listeners would like to come along on that sailing with us too, because we are going to attempt to do a recording when we're on board from the Tower Suite. So that is going to be a fun time. Until next time, I hope that you guys all have a great week, and thanks for being here.
Talk to you soon.